I'm here.
Here and ready to go. Well, it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what time that is for you, but it's that time for us. To at least, we're all sat down, we're mostly clothed. We're going to talk about some video games. So joining me tonight is the beardless wonder, Harry England.
Hello.
The bearded wonder, Tom Evans.
Hello.
And the hairless wonder,
Mr. Stables, I'm going to call you.
You're going to call me Mr. Stables?
Yeah, the man who can frighten 1,000 horses from 50 feet.
There we go. Thanks very much. Simon
Leave those
Morgan.
horses alone.
I can't help it. They look gorgeous.
It's just a pony.
I like them. I'm not doing them any harm. Well, welcome to the podcast. This week, we're going to talk saturation. So it's those video game genres where
The market.
companies and developers, they just flood. They take one idea and they don't just run with it. They all sprint in the hope that they outrun everyone else so they can cross the finish line before the entire thing just sort of collapses into a messy pile of nonsense.
Yeah.
And they just get abandoned.
Yeah.
So, Harry.
Yep.
You're so pretty.
Thank you.
You start us off. Pick a genre, topic, one of the things that you've written down, and we'll start with that one.
One that first came to mind when thinking about saturation in games was more aimed at a publisher,
Yeah.
a company, which was Telltale.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, especially over the recent years, they've just been pumping out so many episodic point-and-click games just under different franchises.
Yep.
And I looked into it, and they'd done 33 titles, and that includes 3 of which that haven't been made yet, that are in the process of being made.
So when you say 33, would this include the Walking Dead seasons 1, 2 and 3?
Yes.
Okay. That's still a lot, though.
Yeah, it is.
That's still a lot, because I have to say, I've played episode 1 of the first Walking Dead. I think it was a freebie download on Xbox 360. I'm aware of the Telltale series, but I've never actually played one all the way through. Have either of you?
Yeah, I'm the
Walking
same as you.
Dead.
I've done the Walking Dead demo that you can get.
You've done that, and then you said you'd done...
I've done season 1 of Walking Dead.
Okay, now have you seen or played any other of the Telltale series?
The Wolf Among Us, I played episode 1 and halfway through episode 2.
Okay, so do they play essentially exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay. So this really is just an example of, we found one idea, it works,
Yep.
and we're just going to cookie cut this and stamp it onto...
I mean, it's not
some
a
other
new
franchise.
idea, though, is it?
No,
I mean,
not at
Choose
all.
Your Own Adventure books have been around for ages, and that
Yep.
literally is a digital version of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's not to say that they haven't got talent in what they're doing, but yeah, 33 times over, we get the point.
Yeah, you're good at... But it must get to a point where people... Well, do people get bored of it?
Well, don't forget as well, that's affected other games. I mean, you've got things like the one about the teenage girl that
Life is Strange.
I mean, that's other companies then using that
I tried
idea.
to think of it. I was like, have they even got any other competitors like at the moment?
Yeah.
And the only other game I could think of was Life is Strange, and that's done by a publisher where that's their only episodic game they've ever done.
Well, it's now spreading to normal games that you wouldn't think would be episodic. You've got things like Hitman
That's
coming
very
out as
true.
episodes. You know, I mean, that I can
That's
see a
a
lot of
genre
games
that
starting
works.
to do that.
I think, the Hitman one is quite interesting because it's the first sort of arguably AAA title that, I suppose because of the nature of how the game is, you can break it down into episodes.
I don't think that's why it was released that way. I think it was so it would give the studio more time to fix it and get it ready. But I think what they're selling it is as try it before you buy it kind of
But I
thing.
think it's quite an interesting precedent to see how many other people will go down that route. Now we know, for instance, that something like, let's say, this is in the future, but Final Fantasy VII, we know that's already going to come out in pieces. That's going to come out piecemeal. How piecemeal, we don't know. I don't think they've confirmed.
No, not just yet.
We think at least 3.
Yeah.
We assume.
Do you think they might do that with 15?
No.
I don't think so.
That because they've had so long on that, that's just going to be all there readily available on a disc.
I mean, getting back to the point, Harry's right.
Yeah.
You know, they have managed to corner that part of the market, and in respect to them, they've got quite a following because of it. They do those things well, but a lot of people kind of think, oh my god, it's another Telltale game, and they expected, and then what they expect is a good start to the episodes, and then it kind of fades towards the end.
Because I've heard or seen reviews
comes out,
where people have said, like, for instance, the Game of Thrones one started badly.
Yeah.
Clearly sold on the back of how strong Game of Thrones sells, as long as you staple Game of Thrones to it.
Yeah.
Didn't start desperately well, was not reviewed desperately well, finished quite strongly. But the point I was thinking of, actually, when we were talking about the fact you got 33, or whatever it was, series, will people get bored of it? And they're thinking about something we were just talking about before we started recording, which was the nature of those, like Candy Crush type things.
Yeah.
It's like a Bejeweled-esque type game where it's the same thing, and all you're doing is just replacing the objects you have to match.
It's just reskinned.
But people keep on buying it because they really enjoy those sorts of things. So is that the same thing? Do people just really like playing that type of game? And as long as you just reskin it...
I guess as long as it's backed up by a really good story to it, then I think it's still got a chance to do well.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying in terms of, the narrative of that type of episodic game, as long as it's done well, then fair play, there's no problem with it. But in terms of what you were saying with things like cookie clicker... Yeah, I'll stop drinking before we start these shows. Cookie clicker and Candy Crush and things like Tapped Out and stuff like that, that's a massively flooded market with just complete tat in there, full of just any way they can possibly get your dosh from you.
Yep.
And that, would be something that doesn't contain any narrative, at least with things like Telltale.
Yep.
There's a point to actually carrying on with what they're actually story they're trying to put you through.
Yeah, story narrative, it's strong. I think the other thing which people had complained about, I think recently, regarding the Telltale series in particular, the nature of the episodic story is fine, but I think there has to be a preset timeline for when these things are going to come out. Because I seem to recall, I can't remember which one it was they had done.
Wolf Among Us had a lot of issues with how long it would be between episodes.
Yeah, that sort of thing, where it's just sort of it's a blank canvas. It's like, here's episode 1, and then episode 2 is coming.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of it.
Because I'm sure they did initially say, this one's coming out this month.
Yeah.
And that month would go by, and people are like, where is it still? And they're like, we're still working on it, it'll be with you shortly, and then another month.
Didn't happen with Borderlands as well?
May well
Tales
have done.
from Borderlands.
But I think this is the problem with episodic gaming in general. Like, I liked when they did... Because the only game the only game I've definitely bought episodically, the only one I can think of was Resident Evil Revelations 2, which I bought the season pass, which was episodic. But completely nonsense to do that, to make it episodic. Apparently the splits in the game were so random. It didn't need it, but the point being, if you're going to split a game up episodically, for whatever reason you decide you want to do it, Resident Evil Revelations had set out, here is episode 1, this is the date for episode 2, this is the date for episode 3, etc., etc., and they stuck to it.
I understand.
So you knew ahead of time. So I didn't feel bad.
Go on, you go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing I was saying, because I seem to recall people complaining about the fact that they were reluctant to buy a season pass for something like, say, The Wolf Among Us, or consequent Telltale series, because you never knew when you were going to get a chance to finish it.
Yeah.
So I'll just drop sort of £6-7 whatever it is for episode 1, and then when the next one comes along, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Because surely the idea is that they want as much money as possible.
Yeah.
But if you're losing customer faith by just not releasing them at a very set of dates, you're gonna hurt that potentially. So for Resident Evil Revelations, they preset the dates. I was happy to drop my money on the season pass because I knew this is when they were all coming, so I would have my full game at this particular date.
They did it ages ago with Siren Blood Curse, I think it was as well.
That's
a long
true.
Time
that was
ago.
Episodic, wasn't it?
That was episodic, but it was one of the first ones to sort of really do it.
Yeah.
But apart from obviously some early Telltale stuff, but I was going to make 2 points on that.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Revelations 2 didn't need to be episodic or split up that way, because apparently from what I understand, I haven't played it, I've seen someone play it as usual, but when they split it, it's literally, you could be halfway through doing something important and then cut, that's it. And
I don't remember that particularly.
I heard that's what a lot of people complained about, not the fact that it was a poor game. I don't think it was a poor game, apparently it was an okay game, but not like blow your socks off. But the point is, it was... the cuts in it were so abrupt and non-thought out or planned or cliffhangered or anything like that. They kind of just stopped, and then it was like,
I think
I was getting into that or whatever.
I can understand that. I think the game was sort of split between essentially two protagonists.
Yeah, that's fair
that you
enough.
kept sort of splitting. So the first chapter would dealt with initially those first two.
Yeah.
Or the first one with your partner, and then the second episode dealt with the next lot and their partner. Part 3 going back to the first lot, and then everyone sort of comes together.
Yeah.
At various points. So I think you're right in the sense that if it just come out as a full game, you'd have your full run. But when you don't have the full game and you've only got a bit, they had to cut it off at the end of a boss fight.
Yeah.
When you would be thinking, great, what's next? Oh, it's just the credits. I've got to wait a month.
Yeah, exactly.
But I suppose it's...
Well, I was going to say another thing.
Yeah, go on.
What I was going to say on that was, I have no problem with things being cut the way they're cut, jumping and back between protagonists, as long as it's done well. Name me a TV show. I mean, look at something like Game of Thrones is huge, and yet that has to cut between everybody's story. Like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And you know, if it's done well, you can follow it all. The other thing I was going to say was, as regards something like, we'll come back to Resident Evil, but I was going to say in terms of Hitman, they have no excuses for any late delivery. They've given themselves a kind of timeline to work with.
Yep.
But if they're going to force people into what was originally going to be a released game as one full game, and then they've suddenly gone episodic, they might be using the excuses, it means you can try it and see if you like it.
Yep.
If you don't like it, you don't have to buy the whole thing. To me, I don't know if that's good business, because if it turns out to be shit, if you'd have sold it originally as a full game and it was shit...
You've already got the money.
Well, you've already got the money. I know that sounds horrible to the public, buying it. Point is, that's how you make money, even if you've got a product that's good or bad. If you've got a good product, people will come back to it. If you've got a bad one, technically you already made your money for it. So I don't quite get it.
The other danger is, in addition to that, is if you do release it episodically, as we have discussed in the past, not necessarily during the summer, this may be the right time to do it, but there are a lot of games that come out, and people only have so much money and time.
Yeah.
So you may find that you get to, say, episode 2... or 3 maybe, of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then something else comes along that you'd actually rather spend your time on.
And then there's a problem where they might develop games where you've got issues like, say, Halo comes out, it's episodic. The next Hitman comes out. The next Tomb Raider comes out. The next whatever comes out as episodic. People are out there, they might spend £10 on each first episode, see if they like it or not. £10 on another thing that they want to try and see if they like that or not. And then maybe never finish any of them.
Yep.
On the premise that they either didn't like it, or they've spent so much money on different ones that they can't and they have to just pick one. You're going to have loads of studios working on 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes after that that may never even get looked at.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a market where every game that's released is episodic. So people can pick and choose between the start episodes of what they actually want to see.
That essentially just turns into paying for a demo.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, this is
I don't
it.
know how many games actually would really work, but in saying that, everything could, technically, if you're going to break... The only thing that wouldn't work, I guess, are big open worlds.
Games.
Well, sports games wouldn't, but I'm thinking something like the next Skyrim or Fallout.
Yeah.
When you have that open world, you need that. But I suppose any other thing where you're moving sort of in a linear fashion from A through to B...
I mean, clearly, it's not a difficult thing to do. I mean, I've bought the Season Pass for Fallout.
Yeah.
If you look at it, that is expanded story, which you're buying after the original release of the game.
Yeah.
Fair enough, the value for the money is on the main game.
Yes, of course.
And that's released. But I've still pumped more money into extras. Now I know what I'm doing with that, and I'm going to go on hindsight of their previous ones that they've released that I can pretty much say it's going to be okay. Quality, good quality.
Yeah.
But even that is a kind of point towards an episodic type of gaming, because there'll be 4 extra chapters later on they haven't made yet.
Yeah.
I think what some studios are just doing is thinking, well, hang on, let's just do that with the main game. I can see it happening more and more with different games.
It will be interesting to see how that works out, but is it partly a response to people having less time? People want a little more, they want more bite-sized things, like you can get a little sort of snatch of a game here, like watching, when we were children, back when it was all in black and white, everything... people would watch television shows, for instance, okay, and you're talking that's a 30-minute program, but now you can go on YouTube and you watch it for 5 minutes, and that's enough. You'll just flick from 5 minutes to 5 minutes to 5 minutes. People's attention spans are a lot shorter because they're constantly glued to their mobile phones or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So if you could gaming go down that route where you just want little snatches of games rather than the full sort of 40 hours, 50 hours, 20 hours, whatever it might be, I'm okay just to have a couple of hours and just move on to the next couple of hours and the next couple of hours. It's not for everyone, but
it's a tough one, that. But you've got a point.
I've got to say, for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of episodic games. The only thing that got me on like The Walking Dead was just because of the TV show, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a cool concept, so I'll try it out. But yeah, most of the time I'm not going to be looking at episodic games just because I want a full game there and then, rather than playing through a certain amount and having to wait a month or whatever for the next piece. I just want to be able to sit and play it whenever I feel like it.
Because the acid test for you, surely, and I know we've discussed this before, I mean, off camera, off mic and on mic, is Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Now I don't know there's anyone that loves Final Fantasy VII more than yourself, with the exception of you, Tom. I think you're both sort of...
Final what?
Yeah. Funnel fantasy.
Funnel fantasy.
It's something that you're both hugely looking forward to, but you had said you don't want to buy it episodically.
Yeah.
So does that mean you will forego playing beautiful, shiny, HD, gorgeous, remastered Final Fantasy VII until you can have everything in one go?
Yes.
Really?
And then,
yeah,
if they had turn-based combat, because that's a big fucking thing.
Okay, that's the thing for you. But but let's just talk. But just the episodic combat for the time being. Sorry, the episodic content for the time being, ignoring the manner in which the game plays, just the nature of how the game is going to get released. For you personally, it's a no. Despite the fact that you are so looking forward to, well, you would be ordinarily, if it was just one disc, all of Final Fantasy VII.
It does bother me, but I think with something like Final Fantasy VII and my lack of completion of games...
That's true, that's the other thing. For you, episodic gaming must be perfect, surely.
But with Final Fantasy, because it's such a huge game, I think with that one, if it had turn-based combat...
Yeah.
Then I would probably just snap up the episodes as and when they came out.
Okay.
But for the most part, I'm not really into episodic games.
Fair enough.
I'm the same. I would do exactly the same. I'm with you, sister. I would do exactly the same thing. I would wait for the full thing.
It's quite interesting that we started off talking about sort of Telltale games and we actually sort of ended up talking about something else, which I don't think we'd really thought about necessarily, but that's something that potentially is...
It does lead to the fact that it would saturate...
start saturate into the market a little bit, that nature.
Well, it's something to... I don't know if we should worry or not. It's kind of a pro and a con in one go, where you're going to get games released as episodic, but if they're... But then you could have such a market full of non-finishable games, or not non-finishable games, but games where everybody has a snippet of the first episode and then leaves it, and that would saturate the market of games that people never complete.
But something you'd said actually, which I think is something that we hadn't, unless someone actually has it down on their list to discuss, but the nature of DLC.
I was going to mention.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. Well, we'll move on to that now. We might as well. But just that fact that you have, nowadays, you can have a game that gets released, and unlike episodic, where you know you're not getting the full thing because the rest of it's still to come, you've got a game that you know pretty much isn't finished completely because there's going to be some more chapters, there's going to be some more content later on, and it's where you lie regarding... Am I happy that the game I bought was actually the full content and there's going to be additional game to be had later on, which will be great because I want that? Or it's a bit fucking cheeky that I'm having to fork over an extra 20 quid for something that...
Especially on
could
games
that have been added?
That seem like they completely cut levels out.
Yes.
I was going to say, it has to make a clear difference between main story and side story. So as long as you've got a full... This is just... why your character is here at the start of this game, the end of the main game, just full circle finishes that.
Yeah.
Then the DLC is just, here's this.
It almost depends on. It's one of those things. It sort of depends on the type of game. So I was thinking, it says something like Skyrim or Oblivion, where they're so massively open world, there are all these little stories happening all over the place.
Yeah.
That you could arguably say that the stuff that comes from the DLC could have been integrated into the full game because it doesn't ultimately affect the main game. But then you could flip that and say you could include that as DLC because it doesn't interfere with anything, because it's just extra little bits and pieces. So you've got both sides of the coin.
Well, the two biggest examples, I say biggest, the one that I know of that held back levels that were in the expansion was Alien Isolation. That had levels in it where people would play, get to the end of a level, start the next level and think, whoa, where's this gone? and it's kind of like it didn't lead into it from the previous level of what you did. It was just kind of like almost from a different viewpoint that you're doing this game again. You're not Ellen Ripley doing, or her daughter doing whatever she's doing. And apparently they then admitted at a later date that some of the DLC expansions were levels that were clearly cut.
Oh, really?
From, like, say, you went to 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
and then 4 was one they cut, but they gave you 5, 6, 7, and cut out 4, but said that was
so that was quite
sequentially
jarring.
lower. Yeah, it was kind of like, whoa, this doesn't fit right.
Okay.
And then the other one was blatantly obvious, was Deus Ex and its new tiered pre-order system, where they clearly said to you, we're holding back content unless you get to a stage where if enough of you pre-order, you can get the full game. I mean, that's just a slap in the face. Yes. Give us some cash.
It's a bizarre marketing choice, because on paper it almost sounds like it's quite a good idea. If you take it sort of absolute at sort of face value, if enough people get this, we're going to give you some free stuff. Yeah. Forgetting, of course, that what they're actually saying is
we're holding
back a lot of content.
Well, this is what I was going to say. You were mentioning digital being an area that's saturated. Mine was actually more specific to pre-order saturation. So, for example, I was going to mention there's a saturation on types of pre-orders. Okay. For example, we all know Doom's coming out.
Yep.
And Doom has 3 different versions.
Yep.
Now admittedly everybody knows what your usual bollocks you get with it: art books, tin cases, a soundtrack, and stuff like that, statues and whatever. But people may just want to come in and order a game, from a game shop wherever they buy their games, but they don't. I don't think that the market is helping itself by giving everybody so many options for so many different versions. I mean, talking about Fire Emblem before.
Yeah.
And you were saying that the new... Or Harry, you know about this. You were saying about the new release, there's 3 editions, I believe?
Yeah, so you can either pre-order... They've probably got different names. Like, think of it as Pokemon. So you've got Fire Emblem...
Birthright and Conquest.
There you go. So those are the 2 that are available to pre-order. Just standard games.
Yeah.
But then you've also got a third option, which is the Collector's Edition. That comes with both games, and then a bonus third one that you can only get with the collectors.
You see, that's blatantly and you can't pre-order that by itself.
No. You have to get the collectors with all 3 to be able to get it.
So there you go. That's an example of just holding back. I mean, it's almost like they don't want to sell. I mean, obviously they'll have fans, but it's almost like...
That's for the key fans. But then it won't the game in of itself just be for the fans to a degree.
But if you want to get new people interested, you don't want to be suddenly restricted on what you can play of this franchise.
You don't want to get snooty about it, saying, well, I'm sorry, if you don't know the Fire Emblem series, this is not
this
for
isn't
you.
for you. You're not part of our clicky
No,
group.
exactly.
I mean, that's the bullshit of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one I was going to mention was, I know you're going to hate this, but Dark Souls 3 has 3 editions of a guidebook pre-order. There's not even a game included now.
Yeah.
It's 3 editions for a guidebook. So how many editions can you pre-order of the game?
Well, I imagine... Well, no. I assume there'll be 4 in total.
Yeah. Of the game?
Of the game.
So what, like a standard...
So the standard one, there was the steel tin with the soundtrack.
Right.
Then there was the Red Soldier, the Red Knight.
Yeah. This is a statue, isn't it?
Which is a statue. And then there was something called the Prestige Edition.
Right.
Which included a bigger statue of one of the Lords of Cinder.
Okay, so, I mean, if you're really into it, I've got no complaints about people getting things for what they get in a pre-order if it's a physical thing.
Mm.
If you deliberately hold back content from people, I'm losing my plot over that one. But when it gets to the stage where you've got 3 different versions of a game to order, and then you have 3 different editions of a guidebook to order now, that's going crazy. That's 7 things to pre-order for one game. 7 choices of things to pre-order. Do you not think that that's a bit crowded?
Yes, it is crowded, but I suppose you're sort of segregating it into the real fans, the big fans, have the choice.
Yeah,
because if you're a real fan of the series, of which I am, obviously I have a limit to my wallet, and as much as I might have wanted the full Prestige, I think it was $300.
Yeah,
I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's a big statue. But the problem is that with that, you've got no idea what it's going to look like. This is part of the other issue. Yeah, you've got no idea what it's like. The Dark Souls 2 I bought, but I'm not overwhelmed by the quality of that especially. But I have pre-ordered the collector's edition, the one with the statue for this one. I'll make my decision when I physically sort of see it as to whether or not I'm going to go down that route. But as a real fan of that series, I'm happy to spend a little bit more to get that model and to throw my money almost just to say to From Software or Namco Bandai, thanks very much. Yeah. I'm prepared to spend more on this, and also because I'm going to get the money, I'm going to get the value for money out of it. Because I will spend 100, 200, whatever, 300 hours maybe in total playing that game, and I'd be happy to drop 50 quid, but I'd be happy to drop £100 on it.
Okay, so here's my thing.
Yeah.
A lot of this is done so a lot of people will shop with certain places to get those bonuses, which I think is bullshit. You should make all of the content available to everyone.
Yes.
Even if they're massive fans or they're beginners. If you could buy all of that content separately with no restriction and just pre-order the standard game, would you prefer that?
I suppose...
it's one of those things that would then limit the pre-orders to being... I mean, I'll speak from experience of what I really want to get. Like something like No Man's Sky I'm looking forward to. But then when they come out with the different pre-order editions, really puts me off now these days of things like that. And that has 3 editions.
Only 2 are available in this country, though, I think. I think the third one was only in America. I think one with the ship.
Yeah, that's PC. So I think it's PC pre-orders can get that one.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was. I
ship is only for PC orders.
Yes, I knew that, but I thought it was only in the States anyway.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought
it's in the UK as well.
That they have to. Well, they make a collector's edition specifically for a platform.
Because there will be people that will buy that, even though they don't have a PC.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I kind of like models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would like that ship to be sold separately. Because I have a PS4 and I don't want to get it on PC. My machine's not powerful enough to run it. I don't want to have to fork out to do all that. But what I would like is the ship and then a PS4 copy of the game. But I'm restricted on that because it's only limited to people getting PC versions of that. It annoys me that the choices... I mean, not the fact that I can't get that, but what I'm saying is I'd rather there be just standard editions of pre-orders and then make all of the other stuff that goes with it as a kind of available extra.
I suppose there are 2 ways of looking at it. You could either have something like you have... I'm trying to think. Okay, equate it to Domino's. Other pizza restaurants are available. You can pre-order the game, the base game.
Yeah.
At which point you can then augment, not unlike Deus Ex, let's say, to a degree, your pre-order. So you can say... You pre-ordered this for £5. If you want to add a statue, you add another £5 to it. You want to add this bit of DLC, whether it's an armour set or a weapon set or whatever it might be, some different skin, that'll be another £5. If you want to add the guidebook to it, well, let's say that's another £5.
Okay.
You want to add this particular guidebook with this extra little bit, whatever it might be, then that's another £5. So everything is available to you. You just make the choice of what it is that you want to pre-order.
The massive difference... between that and pre-orders is that Domino's is never limited on their stock, whereas pre-orders are always limited.
That's true. No, yeah.
But
I'm just
talking
be able
to go to Domino's and get that thing.
But I'm just talking in general. Would you rather you had the option of picking how you wanted to pre-order your game, rather than so you could go into game or you could go to Amazon or wherever it might be?
Yeah.
So you want to pre-order this, and this is what you actually want to pre-order.
Well, honestly, if I'm really invested in the game, I want all the bits and pieces of the game that should be there. So ideally, I want everything in the game as it is.
Yeah.
That should be made available. But if Amazon has a special suit of armour, I'm pissed off if I go somewhere else to get it and I won't get that suit of armour.
Yeah.
You know, that annoys me. So I wish they would make that content
eventually
available.
They always do, though. It's
not always.
I thought they always did down the line. Like when you had... I was trying to think of the...
If you get something like the Dragon armour in Mass Effect, if you had...
That was available
Kingdoms
independently.
of Amalur.
That was available independently.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But it is...
I thought you had to have Kingdoms of Amalur.
Sure, that was available separately.
So that you would load the
Chakram launcher, I think it was called.
Okay.
I thought that was eventually all those things. I thought they did, because I was trying to think of the one I remember specifically was Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
Where I think wherever you could pre-order it, you got a bonus skin for Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
And then eventually for Arkham City, I remember on the Xbox 360, you could buy the skin pack, which contained all of the pre-order bonuses. I mean, this is months down the line. But if you were desperate, if you were a real completionist and wanted it,
Because that's what they've done with Street Fighter as well, with the big update coming out. All of the pre-order exclusive skins for like Cammy or Bison or whatever, they're just going to be available. So you can either put real money into just buying them yourself or save up your fight money or whatever to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we'll always have places that will begrudgingly you'd have to go to if you want a set edition of something when it's released, if it's an add-on DLC. But that's not really my main point. My main point is that the problem is that so many places want to have their little bit of exclusive that if you put all those pre-orders together from every place that sells what game you're after, that saturates how many pre-orders are available. I mean, I was trying to think of an example recently of a game where if you bought it in several different places, Evolve, that was it. Okay. If you bought Evolve off Amazon, or if you bought Evolve from, say, GameStop or Game, or somewhere online, wherever, I think it worked out that there was something ridiculous, like 12 or 15 different versions of that game.
Yeah.
With different DLCs. That's insane.
It is insane. I suppose
especially if eventually, like you say, at one point you're just going to get all the DLC and say, hey, if you want to buy it, it's all available now. Why go through all that bullshit rigmarole? But I know one of the shops are doing it.
I was going to say that is the reason. Every shop that does sell this game, they need to have that hook to try and get you to pre-order it specifically.
Yeah, it just doesn't mean it's right, though.
I don't disagree, but I just think otherwise, what would the point be? Every company needs that.
They're just grabbing customers, aren't they?
That's but they need to. It's not something. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where.
Yeah, everything's hunky-dory, obviously. It's just such a bugbear of mine that...
I appreciate it.
It's ridiculous when you ask for a pre-order and then someone's there and they go through 10 different versions of the same fucking thing, And you just think, how much more money can they fleece me for?
Yeah, but then you can
especially when it's a downer if you're invested in the subject.
I suppose, but you can vote with your wallet. That's ultimately
true.
The ultimate way to do it is if everyone disagrees with the nature of that type of thing, everyone just says, "Well, we'll not pre-order it. Yeah. We'll just get the stat. We'll all pre-order the regular vanilla edition of whatever the game is.
Yeah,
to get it through people's heads that we don't want to be shirted like this."
But I'm surprised that hasn't.
Of course it won't.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, though, because the amount of people that do complain about pre-ordering being an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still here because people will pre-order just to make sure they can get
it. But
it's just the minority, that's the thing.
Isn't it? We're just used to doing it now.
Yeah.
I think.
There's enough kids out there that, this is what they know. This is how it is. Whereas when I was a kid, you didn't have pre-orders.
Yeah.
No,
if you had pre-orders, there was you just literally... You didn't have pre-orders when I was growing up.
I remember going into, as I talked about, that shop Daniels in Windsor. And if I knew a game was coming out, going up and speaking to the guys that worked at that particular counter and just sort of saying, could you just put one aside for me?
Yeah.
So I knew that come Friday or Tuesday or Saturday, whenever the game might have been released, there'd be one there for me. Yeah. Rather than putting a $5 down or whatever it was down.
Anyway,
that's fair enough. That's a good point.
What's your saturated point?
The first, I think, the one that has aggravated me more than anything, and I'm sick to the fucking back teeth of it. It's irritating retro 32-bit, 16-bit looking games.
Yeah,
I fucking can't stand them. It irritates me so much. I get it. It's funny. It's retro,
quirky. Yeah.
Could you fucking move on? I get it. I just get it.
Obviously, you're saying
fuck off
with nothing against the good ones, though. Yeah. I mean,
like what? Name one.
Like
Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight.
Okay, yeah. There are exceptions, and I think you have something like Fez, which was, I think, in my mind, Fez came out maybe at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
So I almost don't count that as one of those.
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy, again, that it's almost like it's a... There are going to be exceptions, of course, to the rule.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things when everyone just jumps on the fucking bandwagon.
Yeah.
This is the issue you have. So that you can have a very generic platformer or shooter or puzzle game or whatever it might be. And if you just sort of turn the graphics back to mid-90s... that will suddenly elevate it to more than, well, no, this is just a shitty game.
Yeah. Still, it's an 8-bit turd.
You can't get away with just saying, well, yeah, but it's supposed to be a bit retro, it's supposed to be a bit shitty. No. It's not supposed to be a bit shitty. It's still supposed to be a good game. You've just made it look slightly shitty.
Yeah.
So you think you can get away with it being a bit shitty?
Oh.
No. And I think there's just too much. There's sometimes when it works. I remember when the trailer for Super Time Force came out.
Okay.
I remember thinking that looked really good because it did sort of stir something nostalgic in me. I remember because it looked, in my mind, that's what games used to look like.
Prehistoric.
But it's but it's not how games used to look like because it's still sort of better because there's a lot more movement going on. They do run a lot faster, etc., etc. But then there just seemed so many. Is it Devolver Studios? I think in particular.
Okay, that
I
sounds
remember
familiar.
seeing it was on. I think it was on. It was either Sony at E3, or it was certainly at Sony, a conference of some description, and they ran like a sort of what do they call it? A sort of sizzle reel of upcoming games that are going to be dumped onto the PSN. I think there was a whole section from Devolver.
Yeah,
and it was 4, 5, 6 maybe games, and they all looked exactly the same sort of pixely crap.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, does it need to look like this? And it doesn't need to look like this at all. Is there a skill to make it look? I don't know.
I think
is it less skill or more skill to make it successfully look retro?
No, it's instant bandwagon jumping.
Yeah.
I mean, you have so many. We'll get back to your 8-bit thing in a minute. I was just going to point out a good example.
Yeah.
And it was done by the same guy. What are we up to now? Five Nights at Freddy's 5?
At least, I should think.
And that's from one guy. And how many shit horror trope copies of that are there? Just you have to trawl through.
Yeah.
And that was one guy doing it. So times that with those 8-bit retros. The amount of rip-off Hotline Miamis there are. And things like that. That are just... Oh, yeah, but I made it 8-bit, 16-bit. Listen to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen to me say how shit your game is. It's still shit.
Yes.
There's too much... You absolutely hit the nail on there. There's too many people thinking, oh, but I've made it retro.
Yeah.
And I'm there, I'm done. No more development for me. Give me your cash. And you're like, fuck, right off.
I think there are some games that can potentially...
things like Shovel Knight, I think is a really good example.
Yeah.
There are definitely diamonds in there.
I was going to say Undertale is another one.
Yeah. I mean...
Which one's Undertale?
It's like
sounds familiar.
Old school RPG thing, and the monsters in it.
Almost like something off an Atari.
Yes, I do know.
But they did their own thing, because instead of you can just kill every monster you come across, you can befriend them. So you can do a no-kill run. And
the mechanic in it is so strong that it outweighs what it looks like, because you forget what you're seeing.
Yep.
Yes, it's got great music from what I hear.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. As Harry was saying, I've seen someone play it, but the point is that they were just into it, and you could see from the mechanic and the style and how it was produced and how it was presented was almost second choice or second. What's the word I'm after? It was almost like an afterthought as to how can we make the game work properly.
Yeah.
And that's what I've heard about that. So there are always diamonds there,
definitely.
You know.
And I think if it's one of those things that's something like, say, Shovel Knight and Super Meat Boy, one of the and Fez, both all mentioned, they're clearly all excellent games, made with love and attention, and for a very specific purpose. Fez was a really interesting, like a 4-dimension puzzle game, but set only in 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
So that's really clever and smart, and it looks gorgeous. It really does. Super Meat Boy is one of those sort of classic bastard hard platformers.
Yep.
That you can't just make something bastard hard, because it always has to be possible. Like Dark Souls, for instance, is still an excellent game, whether it's too hard for other people, but it always has to be achievably difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
you still have to be able to complete it. You can't just make it an impossibility. So this is just a really tough, hair trigger, lightning fast reflexes platformer. And then something like
the one we mentioned? Shovel Knight is like
Shovel
Super
Knight.
Ghouls and Ghost
But
Meets
that's
Mario.
that sort of thing. It's a real old school classic NES style game. It has that look, has that feel, but it has to play really well.
It has the quality of those games. If that's what it's attributing itself to, it has to back it up with the quality of those games. If you're going to pay tribute, do it as well as they did it, because they're your influence.
Yes.
But the saturation of
But it's just other ones that are just jumping on them. Will make any, some real shit attempts at just sort of copying it. And that's when it does turn into, in my mind, it's like you have Candy Crush Saga and then you'll have Donut Saga or Lampshade Saga or whatever, anything you can think of.
Yeah.
Chair leg saga. You're just matching 3 of whatever object it is together to make them disappear, and it will just it cascades down all the rest of it. Bejeweled did it right, and I love Bejeweled.
Yep.
Still play it. But Candy Crush is the one that makes, is it $1 million a day? Or a minute or an hour or something?
Didn't King get bought by someone recently?
Yes, one of the big guys. Didn't Activision buy them?
Or was it Pop, like that? What's the Pop one I'm thinking of?
PopCap.
PopCap.
No, someone owns PopCap. By someone. No, Activision. Now, who is it who
I think
publishes...
it's either King or PopCap. One of the two got bought by someone massive for a lot of money.
Well, who published Plants v Zombies? Is that Ubisoft or is that
EA?
That's EA.
Well, EA bought it then. Because PopCap is... they must have done because Plants v Zombies was PopCap.
And Origin, a lot of the PopCap games are on there, and that's obviously owned by EA.
There you go. So it's EA. So they must have, they probably pumped up a pretty penny for that one.
As much as it pains me to say it, all those games owe themselves to things like Tetris, because that's literally what it is, in a kind of sense of get your brain to think a little bit, match that with that, and then that's it. That's all the game is, When you have something like Candy Crush, it hates me to say it, but yes, I guess it does it better than the others.
There must be something to it.
It's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
But, in some kind of markets like that, that's so full of shit, that all those kind of games. I was going to say something similar about Steam. There's a lot of games that are 8-bit retro, kind of survivally side-scrolling horror games. Some of them are really well done. And then some of them are just absolute balls. But because there's no vetting on there of that whole system, people can just make any old try, put it up there and go, it's retro. What do you want me to do about it? Give me cash. And there seems to be that problem following on now with simulators. So put simulator behind anything, and someone spent half an hour filming a chair, and call it chair simulator,
sit-down simulator,
grass simulator, pebble simulator, fuck off simulator. It's just there is such a problem with that now.
I was going to say that simulator thing is something that is ridiculously saturated.
It's gone wrong now, especially in that market. Luckily for things like consoles and stuff like that, you don't tend not to get so much of it.
Yeah.
But
I know from the PC, when you have things like Post Office Simulator or Car Mechanic Simulator or Roadside Assistance
Simulator was another.
Yeah.
Some of those are pretty popular, like the farming ones. A lot of people buy those.
Sure.
The truck ones are really popular.
But it's when you get to the point where we need anything simulator.
Yeah.
There's a VR one called Job Simulator?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You literally have it's like Portal.
Right.
So you have 2 controllers. Your left hand lets you send a kind of portal into another room.
Right.
You have to try and get some details of your job erased so they don't find out about it, but you can sneak in at night and there are robots going around the corridors as security, and you can't be caught. You basically go in a room, an office, you fire your portal style trigger, it shows you the inside of that room, and then it teleports you in there if there's nothing in there.
Right.
And you can sneak around, you find keys to open safes, to press a button to turn off security here, there, and everywhere. There's more to it than... Because
in my mind, it was going to be... There was just going to be a roster of different jobs you could do. You could be a fireman, you could be a lifeguard.
Well, there's the problem, which I don't think we were going to mention, but it's a good point you bring up, VR saturation. They announced that there's like 50 plus games on all these consoles as they're coming out. Each one says, we've already got 50 developers in.
There's over 100, I think, on the Sony one.
Yeah.
I'm sure, at least.
100 games?
Yeah.
I think there's 200 developers, but I thought it was 50 games so far.
Oh, it's definitely more than that.
Okay. Well, the point is, how many of those are going to be tennis simulator, and then table tennis simulator, and then badminton simulator?
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of
bullshit simulator. There's going to be a lot of that. And I just... it's going to be a lot of crap before you find the good ones that stand out.
Yeah. Well, I think, do you not get that with any of those sorts of new, quote-unquote, innovative peripherals? Like a lot of you go back to the Wii, there were any number of Wii Sports-esque things. Everyone just jumping on that type thing because that peripheral lent itself to it. So I think with something like the I've seen it with the sort of cheap VR headsets you can have. Any number of those sort of, I guess they're just jump scare simulators.
Yep.
Where you're just walking around a darkened room and then something will just pop up and scare the bejesus out of you.
Yeah.
I dare say there'll be a fair number of that coming up on the VR, the Sony VR, I assume. But who knows? I mean, that's something that...
It's something to...
A lot of games, but as with anything, you look at any launch of any machine, and there's always a list of games that they demo and you see footage of that never see the light of day, never come out.
I think it's only going to be the really clever studios that exploit the hardware to make a difference on things like VR. I really do. I can see that market. It lends itself to a market where it's exactly as you said, just like Nintendo and the Wii, where only really their creme de la creme games that they kind of do in-house stand out from the loads of shovelware that's out there.
Well, I think
just mini games for the sake of, we're cashing in on the idea that this is a movement controller, give us some DOS because we made a game for your kids. But it's not any good, but we've made something.
Yeah.
I can see that happening with VR quite a bit, you know?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I just hope that...
I don't want it, I can just see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But I just hope the likes of Sony or something, they'll get developers, bring them an idea. And ideally would be like, well, we've already got a few games like this, so can you come up with something a little bit different? Just because if you are going to see the same things come out, same horror games, or just experience games, it's just going to...
I mean, look at how many studios really give a toss about the Kinect. I mean, it's an amazing bit of kit, but it felt like those studios that had originally launched stuff were forced into doing those, just add something in, so we sell you as a release game, you've got that element to say, you can use your Kinect for this, you can use it for that. It is a good feature, but people just use it usually for navigating now. The point is, it didn't sort of lend itself to making quality games that would work using the Kinect. It ended up being some kind of gimmicky small moments and bits and pieces that the Kinect would vaguely use. And I don't want to see that on VR headsets where there's a market of games that are out there that are just gimmicky things that are quick... limited games in terms of creativity that are saturating that VR market. I want there to be quality in it. If that's what they're shouting at us, to buy, is these VR headsets.
I think so much of it initially is going to be those sort of experience type things, though. It's just going to sell you the idea of VR, rather than there's going to be definite, honest to goodness games in there.
Yeah.
And then some of the ones that that last thing they showed, we've mentioned this before, and it sounds like the most ridiculous thing ever, was that 100-foot robot golf.
Yeah.
Now, at no point does that look or sound like a VR title. It sounds like some shitty indie $1 Android game.
Yeah.
Not something that Sony are really fucking pimping for an in-house peripheral. Really a crown jewel for this generation, as far as technology is
concerned. And graphically, it doesn't even look very impressive.
It looks like a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
So it's not showing off the power and the capabilities of the VR at all.
Why does that need to be VR?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just nonsense.
The game that comes with the Oculus Rift is a platform game called Tales. It's bundled in with the box when you buy the Oculus Rift.
Right.
And we're talking $700.
Yeah.
$700 gets you the headset, it gets you a sensor, it gets you a remote, an Xbox One controller, some cables, a lot of cables. And if you don't have USB 3, you're screwed as well.
Right.
And 2 games. One of them is Eve Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Which is a in-cockpit, pretty impressive shooter.
Yeah.
Looks quite good. I don't know how long you'll get bored of it, but it looks quite good. And then the other one was called Tales, which is a platform thing. Just think Conker's Bad Fur Day without the language. It's exactly that. Platformy, coin collecting, that usual thing. Now I've watched someone play it with a VR headset, and you see it in third person. So what's the point in the VR element?
Yeah.
If you're going third person in that, I don't get it.
But then we looked at that when we had that list of that leaked list, which I think some of them were confirmed to be on there. Things like the Dead or Alive, that the Extreme Volleyball, or Tekken had turned up, and there are some other games or Dynasty Warriors as well. I think these are games that surely that this is not something that I'm assuming. I would have thought the whole point of the VR headset, in my mind, was first person. Yeah. That you are seeing through the eyes of the protagonist. That would be the point to me.
Then I guess it just fucks over developers for certain genres like fighting games. They're like, well, if they did really try and say, well, we want first-person titles for this, they're like, well, we're out, we can't do anything with that.
I think that's exactly... You made the most important point. I think they're desperate to get developers in.
Yeah.
And so they'll take anything they can get.
I suppose
if who is it that makes Tekken?
Namco Bandai.
Is it Namco? Yeah. If they can get that brand and they can get that title as a launch thing or whatever, or at least as a title that's VR supported, they'll grab that like you wouldn't believe, you know? I think they need it. Anyway, we're going a little bit of point here.
Yeah.
We're concentrating more on VR than anything. Do you have another one you want to mention, Harry?
Well...
I feel like a biggie.
I'm glad you asked.
I'll put the
that can mean anything.
One that I just wanted to kind of brush up upon was Tom.
Did he just brush up on you?
I don't think
brushed up on me.
Yeah, that was the cat.
Oh my God, Simon, does that hurt your feelings?
I'm crushed.
Both of you then.
Candy crushed.
Take it in turns.
Anyway.
MOBAs.
Yes.
Because, especially for me, because I enjoy playing them, I will constantly hear of new ones coming out. Like, most recently one called Paragon, which is made by Epic Games.
I saw this advertised on PlayStation.
Yeah, because that's coming to PS4 and PC. I don't think there's an Xbox release for it. I might be wrong. So. But it's just the fact that you're getting a lot of MOBAs come out, but it just seems like, what's the point? Because nothing is taking over the mantle from the likes of League of Legends, Dota, and I'd even say Heroes of the Storm, which is the Blizzard one.
Doesn't mean to say that people shouldn't try, but it's unless they're lazy. I agree with what you're saying.
But does it make it more accessible? Have they made it more accessible? Because something like Dota to me would be impenetrable, and I would be sort of terrified, realistically, of attempting to play something like that. Because you'd said that you have to play with 3 people.
Well, the team's 5.
5, I thought it was 3. Okay, but you have to play with a team of X number of people.
Yeah.
So I couldn't play that on my own, for instance.
You can. You'll just be matched up with random people, which is
but that's
more difficult.
That's not for everyone, certainly. Yeah. But does this make it? But the whole point being that it appears, in my mind, to be something that's so difficult, so impenetrable. Do these newer ones that come out make it appear to be something more accessible? Like, for instance, the one I was thinking of, because originally when Battleborn was announced, I seem to recall that was being announced as a MOBA.
Yep.
Now, because it looks like Borderlands, and it's made by the guys that make Borderlands, that would make it, to someone like me, seem more appealing. Yeah. It would be a more gentle way of breaking me into that type of game, so that if I enjoyed that, get into that type of game, I could use that as a bridge to get into something like Dota or League of Legends or similar. So it's something like...
But didn't you play DC Online or whatever it was?
That's just an MMO, though.
That's a completely different kettle of fish, because there's so much of that you can play just on your own.
Yeah.
All right.
Whereas this is something you have to play consistently with team-based.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's only one really I can think of that did change up a MOBA in a way to make it more accessible to newer players, and that was Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
Because unlike League of Legends or Dota, you have an individual level for whoever you're playing as.
Yep.
So you'll want to go into your lane and get XP so you can out-level the other team or whatever.
Mm.
But in Heroes of the Storm, they just have a global one. So your team as a whole will get experience to level you all up at the same time.
Mm.
And is that regardless of if you're playing together or not?
Well, you will always be put in with another team. That's just how it works.
Okay.
So it's 5v5 all the time, no matter what. But it just makes it easier so individual players don't have to think, oh, I've got to sit here and do this so I can catch up to this teammate to beat my opponents or whatever. Yeah. And they don't have items, so you don't have to think, oh, I'll need this to go against that guy and whatnot. So it's a very, very simplified version of a MOBA, and in my opinion, a great entry-level one to play.
Yeah.
But the majority of the other ones that come out, like one called Dawngate and Infinite Crisis, which are exactly the same as something like League, they don't really have too much to differ from the bigger ones, so they just end up getting shut down. Which
is that what's happened to them?
Infinite Crisis got shut down last year. That's
After
the one.
How long? Approximately.
A year or 2 years.
Wow,
okay.
Which is nothing.
And that was one that was based around the DC universe. So you had like the likes of
I
Joker
do remember
and
this.
stuff.
That's
yeah.
right. Yes, I do remember.
And
that.
it looked really good. I almost played it at one point, but that was when they'd announced that it wasn't going well, so they're going to have to shut it down. So at that point, I thought there's no point even trying to get into it.
I needed one more player. And it was you. We've got a team of 5. We need one. We've only got a 4 team here.
And then the other one was Dawngate, which was published by EA, and that didn't even get past the beta stage.
Is that a regular occurrence in things like that? For games to not even get past
with something
betas and so on?
like MOBAs, I'd imagine so. There are probably a bunch more that I haven't even heard of. But it's got to have a strong enough roster of heroes or lore or something that will bring it out of the depths, let's say, and bring it to light for other players.
Yeah.
Because other ones like Smite, Strife, and even one called Secret Ponchos, which was free on PlayStation 1 at one point.
Oh, is that a MOBA?
That is a MOBA.
Oh, I thought that was just a weird retro sort of isometric shooter.
No, that is like technically classed as a MOBA.
Oh, good gracious.
But those ones just don't seem to do well. I think it doesn't help with the fact that the likes of League and Dota have been going on for so long now.
But is that the key issue? Is it like someone trying to encroach on FIFA?
Yeah,
it's
I was just thinking that.
Is it there's no point? It's there, it's the king, it's the daddy, why bother?
People are so cemented into that game and that franchise that another one rocks up, does the same thing.
But why bother?
Yeah.
Unless you can do it
I'm
better.
happy with this. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you should say that. We were talking before this about driving games, weren't we?
Mm.
And you've got the only one that's really killed off Gran Turismo is Forza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Forza's come along and stormed it because it was an absolute quality game.
Which is odd because they're
Gran Turismo is going to be out. Gran Turismo Sport is out next year.
It is, but this is different because you've got some that one is only on Xbox and one is only on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So they're almost it can't kill.
It can certainly hurt hardware
it.
sales.
Yeah, that's true. That can affect it.
You know, a lot of people would buy that console for that game. You know?
But no, I can't believe that anyone would make a new football simulator type thing.
It's literally only Pro Evo.
Yeah, and that's it.
Which was the daddy at one point.
But people have tried because
even though FIFA and ISS were around,
there was
pure
football. There was that red card.
There was tons. Actual soccer. They would go all the way back to the N64s and whatever they go before that.
But eventually something
Super Nintendo
takes precedence. Something takes over.
Yeah, eventually it was Pro Evo, and that just won all the time. And then if there was a competition, and then FIFA suddenly one year they must have just thrown skill and money at it to get it right.
And they just
did. And then it just did. And then FIFA 10 just stormed it. Because Pro Evo overnight was just a financial ruin, and they've never sort of come back from it. They still try.
Yeah.
But they've never sort of come back from it.
Because the other thing you get, which is almost like, not quite the opposite of saturation, because I have seen similar type games. You have something like, we were talking about Dark Souls earlier on. They're almost like a brand new genre. Not quite what you would call it. It's an action RPG, but with a very sort of difficulty curve, I suppose, but that type of thing. No one's really managed to properly replicate that. Massively successful, very popular, but no one's managed to make that. So you could make something like that, but a little more accessible.
Well,
somehow.
Bound in Blood, by Blood.
That was not really. That was more sort of a Dragon Age.
Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen was certainly closer.
Apparently very poor.
Yeah,
it wasn't brilliant. I couldn't. It's odd because I have played Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, itching to play the new one, of course, Demon Souls. I played all of them all the way through multiple times. I just could not. I found it too difficult. Oddly enough.
Bloodborne.
No,
or
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen.
For some reason, I just couldn't quite get my nails into the mechanics of it. It just didn't quite work.
While you were playing, were you thinking this isn't a From Software game?
I think the problem was that was in the back of my mind. But there are other. You think of any other sort of genres, another sort of Mario clone or a Ratchet and Clank clone or a Call of Duty clone, and you can get something out of it to a degree. But sometimes it's just maybe that something just clicks. Like Singularity, I think, is the best BioShock game that isn't BioShock. There's enough there that just sort of ticks that box, but nothing quite tops BioShock.
No.
Of that particular thing.
Which leads on to a really good point. I was going to talk about Well, before I do you want to say any more about MOBAs before we move on? I just wanted to let you have your opportunity.
It was pretty much that MOBAs are such a popular genre now on PC, but it's just so difficult.
Let's say 2 MOBAs are.
3.
3.
Hots.
Okay.
And you're constantly seeing guys attempt to dethrone them and be the next big one, but they're just failing.
It's never going to happen, though. I can't see the point. It just seems like a fool's errand to try.
Mm.
I completely agree.
I would never question trying, but there are 2 types. There's trying to get more cash out of you for old rope, and then there's actually trying to create something fundamentally different.
Exactly.
Well, that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? When you have either jumping on the bandwagon or liking an idea and going, this is a good idea, what can we do that's different so we can have our own place in a similar market, but actually, quote unquote, improve it or make it more accessible, perhaps.
Like with most of the MOBAs that are coming out, they are just following what League of Legends and Dota do, but not really changing anything.
Yeah, if you can't be any more creative than that, then you don't really, if you can't do something different, then don't do it.
But on the flip side of that, though, actually, Harry, sorry.
Carry on.
Just about to say, you're really excited about Overwatch.
Yes.
Now, what was that really similar to? Something you said that was quite
TF2.
similar. Okay, so why would you really get excited over Overwatch? Are you just bored of TF2?
I never really was a huge fan of TF2.
So what is it about Overwatch, then?
The thing that hooked me the most on it was just... You already know I'm a big fan of playing first-person shooter games like Call of Duty. I still will get them and I will still play the multiplayer.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about you I don't like.
I know.
Everything else.
Yeah.
That, no.
So Overwatch is just the next big first-person shooter, and I just love their character design.
Okay.
And the individual stories in the world that it's in.
Okay.
And Blizzard,
you're not allowed to look at butts now, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes, they've pulled an Armika butt slap.
We'll all get a little bit excited.
Yeah. Well, they recently...
what was it? All I saw was that sort of flashed up on sort of Twitter and social media yesterday. Does she slap her butt? Does she?
No,
it's a celebration.
It's just Tracer.
It's a pose.
She just stands with her back to you, and kind of like the butt is the focal point of the stance.
The pose, yeah.
But they did recently have a big update that included a new map for the game to do with one of the characters called McCree. He's like a cowboy, so it's in like a...
Does he flash his butt?
No, there was an outhouse.
Assless chaps.
You didn't get very excited.
There was an outhouse on the map that had a couple of magazines just in the doorway. Two of the key female characters, and everyone was like, "Oh, we know what they're trying to say." And I think some people kicked up a fuss.
For a shit.
I thought you were going to say there was a glory hole in it.
Oh, I thought you just went for a shit.
No, but some people kicked up a fuss. They're like, "Oh, that's a bit sexist. You just got all this kind of stuff." So they had to update it again, and the outhouse door was closed, and there were no magazines there anymore.
Okay,
but there was a sound effect.
If you do a specific...
Just giving a round of applause.
It was a good crap.
It was a good shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was a good out.
That actually, you talking about outhouses does remind
me. Not me, him.
No, just about something else. It was that, just very, very briefly, that whole sort of walking simulator.
Yes.
Sort of thing. Did you have that down?
No, I didn't, but that's a good point. Just stop it now.
You're done with it.
Before my head explodes.
You're not a fan. You're not a fan. Because I loved Everyone's Gone to Rapture.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I still haven't finished it.
You haven't finished it, but you really like it. You were not a big fan.
Nope.
No, not at all. But then you're still semi-tempted by Firewatch? Or not so much anymore? Soured it a little bit for you?
I feel sorry for Firewatch because I feel like
they did very well.
I learned a lesson, but I don't want it to make me not delve into that kind of genre again. But I think
it's probably a more difficult game to get sort of saturated because of the nature of... You've got to have really good story. Yeah. You've got to have really good actors.
Yeah, I mean, you know how much I love that.
Carry it. Yeah.
But I just didn't think Rapture did. I thought it was very well acted.
That's fair enough. But that's like anything. If you can appreciate like a film, you know it's really good, but you just don't really like it. You can appreciate everything about it, but it just doesn't snap for you personally.
It was an experience, I'll give it that. But then it's like people going to a gallery to look at some art.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my mum. We went to London to go to a gallery for some reason. Well, not for some reason. We went to look at art.
Yeah.
The point is, we looked at art. Now, it was early Picasso and late Picasso. I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know. They all think squiggly lines and paint thrown everywhere and funny faces and stuff that looks weird.
Yeah.
He's actually was taught to paint like a Raphaelite, so he's actually a really, really, really good artist.
Yes.
And a lot of his really early work is like looking at some of the best Raphaelite work you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which is very, very detailed and very, very, very good quality. Right from traditional styles of painting. But the point is, she didn't like the Picasso late stuff. She loved the early stuff, but not the other one. And I said, the point of you not liking it is good that artwork exists because it created a reaction in you.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what you're getting from it.
Yeah.
Now, I played Rapture.
Yeah.
Didn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was terrible. A bit nonplussed.
Yeah.
But I got a reaction out of it, and I'm glad I experienced it because I wanted to... I wanted a better reaction than what I got, but the point is, because I got something out of it, good or bad, it was worth it.
Yes, it did provoke a reaction.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
It kind of pushed me into an area where there are, just as you were saying, an awful lot of walking simulators that are absolute tripe.
Yep.
That are just jumping on that. Oh, look at how well they did. Look at how well they did it. Yeah, but look how much effort they put into it.
That's the thing.
And look how much effort you haven't put into it.
I think a walking simulator sort of affords people to well, we've barely got to do anything. We've just got to have an environment people can walk around in and have a bit of a story going on somewhere in the background.
If you don't get past that stage, then don't make the game. I mean, that's the bare
minimum. But people will.
Yeah.
In order to make a few quick bucks.
Fuck yeah, they really will. You know?
Sorry, that was just a little aside. Just suddenly,
it's a very good point.
Mentioning it, suddenly thought, ooh, actually.
When you think of so many genres... Well, let me move on to another genre.
Go on.
I was going to say re-releases and remasters.
Yes.
You were talking about Dark Souls and there not being a game that kind of... or anything... Or Bloodborne. Nothing that really competes on that kind of quality for what kind of a game it is. And then you look at the new gen of consoles and you look for a Dark Souls game. Now, obviously, someone like From Software releases Bloodborne and it does very, very well. It's quite well liked, but it's not sort of for the aficionados a proper Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
So obviously you have Dark Souls 3 coming out, but in the meantime they want something to saturate their need, or to whatever the word is, to get their fix.
Yeah.
And what do? They release Dark Souls 2, and that's Scholarship of the
Scholar of the First Sin.
Scholar of the First Sin.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing on there, because there's no one else kind of the ones that are kind of releasing Bound by Blood or releasing Lords of the Fallen just aren't doing it.
No.
So the only way you can get it is by doing a re-release, and that then causes everybody going, well, hang on, they've just released that again. Why don't we release our old game?
Yeah.
I mean, did you really want Deadpool on next gen? Did you really want...
No.
What was the other one? Darksiders?
Those two didn't even look like they'd done anything with them.
Some of them, they didn't do anything with them. I mean, the
was
Prototype...
There Infamous? Oh, Prototype.
Prototypes 1 and 2.
Did anyone even ask for that?
No one asked for that. They just dumped those. That wasn't even heralded. It was just, all of a sudden, it was just on the Xbox. And I dare say on the PlayStation as well. But it was just, suddenly, it was just there.
It's
some of them
insane.
I don't. Some of them I sort of get. If you're going to do a Game of the Year edition, so something like Dark Souls did include all the DLC. So that's
I suppose.
So you were going to get £60 worth of content for 40, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 at that point, it gave you the chance to play those maybe for the first time to see if you were going to get into the game for Dark Souls 3 or for Bloodborne or whatever it might be. But some of the ones were just bizarre choices. Deadpool, I think, was a knee-jerk to, Deadpool's going to be big in the cinema, so we'll just dump that out. We'll make a few quid on that. That was a fairly sort of shameless, money-grubbing...
But the price of that was like 40 quid?
That, I think, is the issue, when it's the price you're paying for it.
44?
Yeah.
When it released, $44.99 or something
That's
like
an odd
that.
choice, because I think at the time that was still arguably the best game on the PlayStation 4 was The Last of Us, and that was a game for the previous generation.
Yeah.
Which is not a good situation to be in.
The worst one is Grand Theft Auto 5. No, I've got nothing against the game, that's quality. And even me just playing my single player part, I can appreciate people love it for single player, people love it for multiplayer. Brilliant, well done to them. They've made a great game that helps everybody and everybody loves. They just re-release it again. Yes, you get first person mode, and I suppose you can have an upgrade in the graphics quality.
Yeah.
The engine's going to be doing that rather than them actually implementing better textures. I don't know, but I would assume that's the case, because it can show it in a higher resolution, so that's how you get your better resolution. But really, honestly, when you think about it, no one expected that to be released, and no one was really asking. They were asking for a Grand Theft Auto 6. They didn't really want a Grand Theft Auto 5, and when it came out, wow, Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming out.
I think they were happy that it turned up because it meant that because it did come up at the sort of tail end of that generation.
I think Sony and Microsoft were fucking happy.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, at the start when a lot of those things launched again, it was just like every time a console launches, pretty weak titles.
Yeah.
And they're probably with thanking God that something like Grand Theft Auto came out. I could understand why they're doing it. It's a massive cash cow.
Mm.
It's almost in terms of like COD or FIFA, it's getting that way.
Oh, God, yeah.
But in terms of what revenue it makes, but it wasn't something that anybody really needed. I mean, it was a quality game on the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
But it is a case for that's just a business decision to get people to move on, and the longevity, because they knew there was extra content to come out in the future, heists and all the rest of it. So that just meant that there was, the legs are now with the Xbox One, the PS4.
Well, here's a question for you: would you think that Rockstar thought, you know what, if we're going to make a Grand Theft Auto 6, of course we are.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they had already been contacted by Microsoft and Sony to say, please, 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 make your game available on our console, because it's probably one of the biggest selling games of when it launched.
I feel like they would have known a while,
a
long time, that they were going to do that in the first place.
And they must have truckloaded that money into their offices.
Yeah.
Please, Rockstar, make our consoles worth buying.
Yeah, of course they would. Because that is something, like you say, it is a cash cow. The amount of money that people drop on shark cards, all the rest of it, that still makes money every single day. And
essentially the game is no different.
No.
Because when it launched, it had no extra DLC.
I think that
it had a first-person mode and it had online mode.
That is slightly different, though, in the sense that it's the nature of the online mode and the fact that game keeps on evolving and people will keep playing it and playing it and playing it, like they could with a FIFA game or a Call of Duty online stuff. Whereas something like Dark Souls or Prototype, as an example,
story-driven,
that is a flat 10 hours of content, and that is it.
Mm.
And there's no reason why you should buy that on a Xbox One or PS4 disc, rather than just having that as a download, as a backwards compatible title, for instance, or getting that on the PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Because there is no difference. At least Call of Duty had an upscale in resolution. It did add some new modes, and that was going to be continued to be supported beyond its initial launch, with more content to come, and I dare say more single-player content to come. Because the Xbox 360 and PS3, for all intents and purposes, are dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there is supposed to be single-player content coming for GTA 5, from what I understand.
Supposedly.
Proper single-player content. But then that's partly, maybe it's just Rockstar doing the sensible thing, getting used to how that machine works. You've got to get used to it, because if they do anything, they make the fucking pip squeak on the machines that those games come out of.
Yeah.
You think the technological marvel...
Some kind of voodoo going on there.
...of something like San Andreas.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that. I was just blown away by how fucking big that game was. It just blew my fucking socks off. And that was on a PS2 disc. How the fuck did they manage that?
A very good engine.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, but they know how to get the most out of those particular machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, inevitability of Red Dead Redemption 2 coming up, and it's just...
we know it's going to be backwards compatible.
So is it just them... Oh, yeah, we know that is.
But my point is that, from a biased point of view of someone who plays single player a lot,
okay,
I look at it as money for old rope if I've had their previous system and they want me to go out and buy the same thing on the next gen system.
Yep.
Unless there's something essentially great to get with it, if it's an extra to go with it, if there's something that is essential, then I personally think, especially when you have things like Darksiders and Prototype, that's just cashing in.
Well, that is.
Yeah. Make an effort and make a new Prototype, or make an effort and make a Darksiders, whatever.
Or make them cheaper.
Do something
else.
At
the least. Yeah. Make them cheaper.
And it's inexcusable if you've got... I can see if there's limited technology, but with this new backwards compatibility, that's kind of inexcusable, whether you're doing PlayStation Now or whether you're doing Xbox backwards compatible.
Yeah.
With some degree, if you can get those to run as they were on the previous one. And I'm obviously coming from a point of view of I judge gameplay over graphics.
Yep.
then I think sometimes it's inexcusable to flood it with that kind of remastered re-release and brand it like that, especially if it's the same fucking game.
You do wonder if it's one of those things where, obviously, because Microsoft for backwards compatibility, I dare say it's the same for PlayStation now. I imagine it would have to be. Where Microsoft had said that any game on the Xbox 360 technically could run on backwards compatibility, but you just need the permission of the developer to say, will you allow it? So there are some developers that must have thought, well, actually, we'll say no, but clearly there's a market. We might be able to make a little bit more money on this, so we'll just fucking dump it on an Xbox One disc. The technology's there. Clearly these games fucking run. We'll just plonk it on a disc and we'll make a few more bucks out of it.
I mean, it's sensible in terms of running a business, but it's annoying in terms of being a consumer.
Yeah. Oh, God, of course it is.
But I was just going to mention on that, on remastered and re-released.
No, I agree.
If remastered comes out and you look at Uncharted, that came out, it's exactly the same games.
Yeah.
It looked fucking awesome on the PS3.
Yeah.
I look at it on the PS4. I've looked at comparison ones and they've gone into the nitty-gritty of how many polygons extras in there.
Yeah.
I don't care, as long as it runs and shoots and covers and shoots and as exciting as the other ones are, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And don't make Uncharted 4 and make it come out when you said it was going to come out.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
A good example of a remastered game, though, in my opinion, is Ratchet and Clank.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that game looks, from the footage they've shown, looks fantastic.
I've heard people say that is arguably the best looking PlayStation 4 game.
I suppose if you clearly make a massive effort.
But this has been remade from the ground up.
Yeah.
This isn't a remaster. This is a remake, proper remake, like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
this is being redone.
You can clearly see
up.
Final Fantasy VII looks nothing like its original.
Oh god,
of course,
it's 25 years now, whatever it is. Long enough, anyway.
Take your word for it.
But a good thing about Ratchet and Clank as well is that it's not going to be a full price game, so it's not going to be like 50 quid, 45 quid. It's going to be like 30.
69.99.
But that's brilliant. But that shows a sort of level of appreciation, I think, for the fans.
Yeah.
An acknowledgement that this is not a straight brand new game. This will feel familiar to the people that originally might have had it on the PlayStation 2. And that's the other thing. It's been out on the PS2 and the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're releasing a game for the third time, you better do something fucking different.
Yeah.
Otherwise people will just go, what, again? Seriously?
A good example, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, came out on Xbox. I'm still waiting for it on PS4.
Yeah.
Bastards. But as we talked about, I'm pretty sure I'll get like a collector's definitive.
Yeah,
you'll get a Game of the Year edition, of course.
DLC
you will.
Because it'll have been so long.
Yeah,
yeah.
Does that not piss you off if you bought that version that was released?
No, because I will have had the opportunity. Well, I had two reasons. One, because I've had the opportunity to play that game already anyway.
Yeah.
And secondly, I would have thought within that time frame, let's say the game itself, what does the season cost? 16 quid?
Something like that.
Something like that. It's not a hugely expensive season pass. I'd be amazed if at some point between now and it comes out on the PlayStation 4, that will be heavily reduced during a sale on Xbox, summer sale.
Yeah.
So I might be able to pick that up for like 8 quid. So I'll have had the opportunity to play it well ahead of time.
Yeah.
For, let's say, the total of less than 50 quid, pay 40-ish quid for the game, less than a tenner for the season pass.
Yeah.
Because the Game of the Year edition is still going to be 50 odd quid.
Yep.
I dare say. So I will have had the opportunity to play the whole thing as and when I wanted. Plus, in hindsight, you can have a look at all the reviews for the DLC that's come out to see whether or not it's worth it. Because the Baba Yaga stuff looked great, but apparently it's very short.
Yeah.
The new one's just come out. I've not seen any reviews.
I've heard good things.
I've heard good things, but it looks very Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But again, depends how long it is.
Mm.
So I have the opportunity to be able to look and see and make that decision. And if at the end of the day, 15 quid or 16 quid is not a massive amount of money. If I'm going to get 12-ish more hours, three packs, 4 hours ago, that's not awful.
Point on that is the Tomb Raider that came out, the definitive one.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yes.
Did you guys... Obviously, you guys played it on either a PS3 or an Xbox 360. Did you get it again for your next-gen console?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
Now, that was obviously on the quality of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for that, I would say great. When I played it on the 360, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. and I thought it looked amazing.
Yeah.
I play it on the PS4.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't care how it looks because I thought it looked good before.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
I'm nonplussed about, her hair flaps around a bit more.
No.
That doesn't make it any more immersive to me. What makes it immersive is how good the game was originally.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it doing it again because obviously we repeat playing games like that. I waited until that game had gone down super cheap pre-owned before I bought it because I didn't want to give them any money for the game that I'd previously played 5 minutes ago on my last gen console.
Yeah.
If there was nothing else in it other than maybe an art book and a couple of multiplayer skins, which means nothing to me because I would never use them. I have exception to that, even though the game was quality. Anyway, that's as much as I'll say on remastered ones.
I think we need to, just looking at the clock, something to cut out, obviously. About an hour and a half.
Yeah, we'll go on to the quiz then.
So less than sort of 5 minutes, whatever I took just to speak to that lady. So is there anything else anyone has a desperate need, an urge, an itch to scratch regarding saturation? I think we've covered some pretty good, interesting points.
Yeah,
as far as that's concerned.
I think so. Some other stuff we can always save for another time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm dying to hear more about Harry and cowboys and assless chaps and glory holes.
There'll be plenty on that later.
Chaps. Let me have a rustle in Harry's pants. Hang on. Jesus Christ! I've got to get my hand out. Jesus!
Don't take your hand out.
Look
please.
What I found in here. I found a 10-part. A 10-part? No, I'm thinking of Chaps' games again. Episodic games. Yes, I've got an episodic quiz.
An episodic quiz?
Yeah, but I'm going to do it all in one. It's the worst episodic thing ever.
All questions at once.
I have a random game-biased question. So pens and paper.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So these aren't that hard. Not like your fucking quizzes, you wankers. These are mixed, so you should be able to get something of every one. And then there is a killer question at the end.
Quizzes.
Okay.
Everybody joining at home. Question 1. How many physical amiibos are there? Talking of saturated.
Do we get... Is this within a...
This is up to now. Up to all the releases.
Are you going to give us a bit of leeway within like 5 or something like that?
Yeah, I can do that. No, I want the exact amount.
Okay.
There is an exact amount.
Well, I know there will be, but I won't know what that is.
No, okay,
so I'm going to make a guess. Okay.
There actually may be 11 questions in this quiz, but I'll go with 10. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
So how many physical amiibos are there up to, I guess, today released? Not including the card-based ones.
Okay. Does this include, obviously, the sort of special editions that were only available at...
All of them.
Okay.
Every single one.
Even
the Harry amiibos. The limited edition. Gold. Paper pants wearing... I want one of those.
That's a one-off.
There's an even more limited edition, which is the no pants version.
I've got that as well.
Only one
where he's
made.
wearing his little Mario sock.
Yeah. Just
but not on his feet.
Yeah. He's got it on his nose. It's really cute.
It's long enough because it's got Mary, and then there's not enough space for an O.
No.
Sorry, Harry.
It's alright.
Question 2. How many amiibos were sold to date worldwide? To the nearest million.
To the nearest million? Oh, Christ, Jesus. That indicates it's more than a million.
I'll give you a clue. Yes, it's more than a million. If I just said
exactly,
million.
Yeah, but I didn't necessarily think it would be as much as that. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah.
I'm probably way off.
You're going to love this question now, Simon.
Am I? Okay, it's about Harry. And
question
socks.
3. Homefront, the game, the original.
Fuck my life.
Was set in which city? And it was based on a city.
Oh, I have no clue. I played it.
Oh, did you?
I played it. It was rubbish.
I didn't pay attention to
about
where it
4
was.
minutes to finish it.
I didn't play it, but I'm just going to write an American city down.
That doesn't count. You have to give me a proper one. You can't write an American city.
Oh no, I have written an American city.
Okay, I'm not going to give you.
Not literally written an.
Yeah,
American
I think you might be
city.
slightly cheating.
No.
Can you name 3 Killer Instinct characters? This is the question that I put in there for you.
Sake.
I said there'd be one for you.
Do we get bonus points if we can name more than 3?
No. Oh, what the fuck? Oh.
And I've got no special questions for you because I hate you.
No, I know.
Yours was the Homefront one.
Why? Why was that? I've never played
Because
that.
I hate you.
I've never even discussed that game with you. Fuck's sake. Oh, bollocks. Oh,
I got 5.
I'm going to have to hurry.
I could write more.
Okay,
but
right,
I
yeah,
got
go on.
5.
That's fine.
Holy shit.
I've written 3 words down.
If I find yours more entertaining, I might give you the point.
That's bullshit. It's got to be the correct answer.
Can you name Sid's ship in Final Fantasy VII?
No, I can't.
I believe it's also his surname. Some people confuse it. I didn't think he had a surname, but apparently there's 2 names. But I always thought it was the airship because I love Sid. He's amazing. Did you know he chain smokes?
Yeah.
And swears. The only character to swear in Final Fantasy VII, and he never stops smoking. And when he does his victory, he lights another cigarette with the one he just put out.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that a boring fact?
Again,
Okay.
an answer written down.
What are we on? Question 6?
The fuck is the name of that guy from fucking Killer Instinct?
Well, I need 3.
I know, but I'm trying to think if there's the one guy that, like, oh, bollocks.
Cut. I'll give you a clue.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking.
Cuthbert Diggins. It's not him.
No.
Shitty DLC and all those things that annoy me
Yeah.
are happening in the world of Star Wars Battlefront. But what is the new expansion called?
Oh, come on.
Oh,
This is dumb.
Oh.
Yes, you are.
I think it's got something to do with Harry.
Are all your questions going to be Harry?
Yeah.
Golden Harry. Question 7. Ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
How many buttons are on an Xbox One controller? Ooh, look at the eyes going there. All the buttons. Give me all the buttons. How many are there? Come on. You're still stuck on the Killer Instinct, aren't you?
Yeah, it's that one guy. I just can't think what his fucking name is.
Okay. Question 8, is it?
Yep.
I think it's 8. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are having a game made by the same guys who made Transformers Devastation.
Yeah.
But can you name me the hockey-loving sidekick of theirs from the movies and the cartoon show?
Oh,
Yes, I might if you give me about 10 minutes.
You could.
Yeah,
have
don't
10
worry, I've got it
seconds.
now.
I have
it's
no
all right.
idea. I
I've got
remember.
it. That's fine. I have
That's
one.
going to bother me.
I have one question right.
Come back to it, Harry.
One definitely right.
1.
Yeah, one. The rest of them probably not.
Bullshit.
That's not it. Bill.
How are you spelling that?
Bill shit.
Okay. You're going to love this. This is your question for you. You should not be. You should be able to get this instantly.
Okay.
I'm fucked.
We were talking about re-releases, and you were talking about Ratchet and Clank. But can you tell me what species he is?
Yes, I can.
That's question 9.
Okay, there's 2 questions I've got right. Happy with 2.
That's a lot of writing.
Okay, now
That's look at that face.
that
That's
smug
confident.
son of a bitch.
He's laughing. He's just written bullshit.
That one.
No, he
When
knows
you said
that,
it was
doesn't
for him, I was like, I'm fucked. That was an easy one.
Yeah, he knows
Is
that.
it easy?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
it's
get it.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's-
hate Ratchet and Clank. I just
Okay.
don't get it. What about now? Question
10.
I say that
10.
now, and now I'm second guessing.
A little
my
bit
answer.
of a bonus question to that.
Okay.
What planet was he from?
Oh, blimey.
Ah, look at you two, Captain Confidences. Now you're
Well, I was-
rocked
No,
to the
I'm not
core.
sure.
Well,
No,
I was
I don't know that one.
I was second guessing my answer to number 9 after I wrote it.
No, I don't know the answer to that one.
Okay. Question 10. This is biased towards me,
10.
not me personally.
This is 11, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we on 11?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, 11 then. Oh yeah, we are 11. I love my PSP. It's better than the Vita. The Vita can go and get shoved up a cow's arse for all I care.
Okay.
But what was the first game launched on it?
On the
On the
PSP.
PSP.
I want answers. And I want them now. Give
Okay.
me answers.
Okay. Best guess.
And I believe it was worldwide.
Oh.
Maybe it was out at different times, but it was the same everywhere.
Okay.
USA, Japan and Europe.
Right. Okay. I've got an
And
answer. This is a best guess
Kent.
type thing.
I can think of a game. I think it is,
of a game.
but I can't think of the name of it. But whatever. Fucking
Whatevs.
Don't matter, does it?
Don't matter, mate. Don't
Do I
matter.
look like I care? I don't care, do I? Doesn't matter. Don't matter.
Okay. I've got 10 answers.
Question 12.
Oh, blimey. Okay. This is the longest 10 question quiz.
And you know the answer.
Okay.
You both know the answer to this question.
Okay.
Would you like it cheese and toasted?
Ooh. Yeah.
There's only one right answer.
Yes.
And
Bearing in mind I'm the question master, so what did I go for?
Yeah.
It's a 50-50.
You're going to throw me off with this.
Okay.
Fuck that question.
Fuck that question. I will give answers out.
We should read out what we've got.
I was going to read the question and give you the answer.
Okay.
Just tick them off.
Yep. Okay.
Or agree or not, or shout or abuse.
Okay. Well, we'll say what we've got.
How many physical amiibos are there to the nearest?
Okay.
What did I say? 5?
Yes, let's say
5. Okay.
I have 70.
I fucked up. I put 32 because I didn't think there were that much because they haven't done them for all of the Smash characters as far as I'm aware yet.
There's 104.
Yeah, that's way off.
Do I get half for being closest?
You
Without
can
going
have a
over?
point for being close.
That was such. I'm an idiot.
Okay.
Pull it back on this,
Or
and then answer this question.
Pull back on this.
How many amiibos were sold to date worldwide?
I have 3.5 million.
I was going to point out you can change your answers if you want. I should say that this answer includes card ones as well.
Oh, include. Oh,
So
fine.
have a
I
quick
put-
rethink.
Okay.
Change your answers if you want. I'll give you that because that was my mistake. It makes a significant difference, unless I've completely written down the
I'm
wrong.
probably
answer.
Okay, well, I'll
still
just
way
add-
off anyway.
6.5 million then.
What did you put?
20 mil.
Ooh, Harry, 31 million.
31 million. Wowzers.
Apparently so.
That's incredible.
So do I get a
You
point?
get a point.
that's,
Even Stevens.
that's incredible.
I couldn't believe it.
Do you know what the difference was between physical and
Honestly,
card?
I don't know, but a lot of cards, I would imagine.
That's extraordinary. Wow.
Homefront was set in which city?
I just put Boston
I
down.
just put something that. I just put Seattle. I don't know.
Philadelphia. Spread it on lightly.
Philadelphia Freedom. I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay.
Philadelphia, because the last level is on the bridge.
Oh, is it?
Mm.
Okay.
Can you name?
Here we
this
go.
is the bit that you love.
Yeah.
Can you name 3 Killer Instinct characters? And Harry, you're not allowed to answer this question.
Okay. Okay. I have Raptor, Kilgore.
Let's have a look.
What?
Go on.
And I think Saphira.
Oh! Well, I can give you 0.
Oh.
You were close with some of the names.
Oh, damn it.
I've got
You were think-
Riptor,
Oh,
Going
Riptor. Oh.
Riptor, yeah.
Sadira,
Oh, Sadira. Okay.
and Jago.
Hang on.
Jago. That was the fucking name I couldn't think. I had Jax. I knew it wasn't Jax.
Sadira,
Jago.
yeah, I'll give you that.
Damn it.
And then what was the other one?
Jago.
Okay.
What was is there one something like Kilgore?
Fulgore.
Fulgore.
Then I also had Riptor. Not Riptor, Thunder and Saberwolf, just as backup.
Saberwolf.
So you get a point for each.
Point for each?
Mm. I did say name 3.
Yeah, I know you did. We didn't say
I
one
did
each.
like your names better, but unfortunately Harry will beat me up if I don't do that.
Yep.
My favourite question. Name Sid's airship in Final Fantasy VII.
I just guessed Leviathan.
The SS Glory Hole.
It was the High Wind.
Oh, because, yeah, that's in fucking Kingdom Hearts as well. That's just the name for your ship.
Okay, Star Wars Battlefront is coming out with some more bullshit DLC, but what's it called?
Like Battle for the Outer Rim.
I put a Cyrus something.
A what?
A Cyrus something. I knew it
It's
began
something
with
to
O,
do with the
but I
Outer
didn't
Rim, isn't
know.
it?
I'll give you half a point. I'll give you a point because you were closest because it's the Outer Rim.
Is it just the Outer Rim?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I saw
I'll give you a
a
point
thing
for that.
for it today, but I just couldn't remember. I didn't really read it. I just glanced at it.
Fair
It's
enough.
so annoying.
How many buttons are on an Xbox One controller?
11.
17.
Oh, I'm going to give Harry a point. It's 18.
8?
How's it?
What are you including? I'm
got start-
confused.
Okay, so you have to start 4 trigger buttons.
4 triggers.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 4.
You have a D-pad, up, down.
Oh,
left,
you were
right.
classifying. I wasn't thinking those were buttons per se. So.
Well, they
when
are.
you-
Oh, plus the click of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the wireless button.
Oh, shit, I forgot that one.
Yeah, you would have had 18. You've been spot on. You get a point for being
Oh
17.
god, yeah, fair enough. Very good.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Fuck you. But very good question. It's Casey Jones.
The Mutants in Manhattan. It's Casey Jones.
I just put Axel. I was like, I have no fucking clue. Axel. I can't remember.
Wasn't he one of the I don't know. I kept thinking he was the pig or the rhino or whatever.
No, it's Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh yeah, of course it is. What species is Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank?
Go on.
Lombax.
There you go. He's a Lombax.
Point each then. But what's his planet?
Lorexia.
Lorexia?
I don't know.
No,
sounds like a skin order.
It's something like Centuria or... No, go on, what is it?
Festoon,
yes.
I had no idea of that one.
Yeah.
And the last one.
There's two more.
Almost the last one.
Yeah.
What was the first game released on the PSP?
I guessed at Ridge Racer.
I had no idea. I put Loco Roco.
Good guess, though. No, that was much later. But it was a good attempt. Ape Escape. On the Loose.
Okay.
But you didn't really need it on the loose.
I was thinking it was just... I was trying to think of just a generic PlayStation-y game that seemed to be a launch title for a fair number of things.
Okay, I'm going to write my answer for the last one. So I was going to wait until you guys have written what it was. And then whoever matches...
We both got the same down.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
You've written it on Harry's pants, I think.
Okay, how would you like it? Cheese and toasted?
How would I like it, cheese and toasted?
Yeah, would you like it, cheese and
would
toasted?
I? Yes, I would.
You put yes.
Yeah.
Oh. I originally put no, and you were like, I'm the question
I did give you the warning.
So I thought it...
Tot 'em up, losers.
Well, Harry won because one of them was a 3-question answer.
Oh, man, he's bitter. Harry, you didn't lose. You said you were shit at these.
I'd have beat him.
What's your score?
Fucking question.
6 versus 4. Loser. Stand in the corner and assume the position. I'm going to send over the Harry.
Well, that's fine.
Bring out the Harry.
There's no issues with that at all. I will lose every time if that's the punishment. Not a problem with that.
It's good till these quizzes only come around once a week, otherwise you'd be ruined.
I'd be knackered. I'd be absolutely fucking exhausted.
Anyway, that was our quiz and that was our chat on saturation. Fuck the lot of you. Harry, you can have your pants now.
Thank you.